John Lusk here of Lusk Archery Adventures. Series testing, successful hunting. Today I'm going to be testing a classic. It's the Rage Hypodermic NC, no collar. So it doesn't use any O-rings, it doesn't use any shock collars or anything like that. And really cool looking head's got a low overall profile, and blades come back over the shaft and all steel. Anyway, I'll go through it in a little bit, but I'm really eager to put this to the test. And for all the testing, I'm using my protocol for 2024. And for a detailed description of that, please check out the video that I posted earlier this year called 2024 Broadhead Test Process, and it'll explain all the behind the scenes of scoring, of tabulating, of why I do the tests I do, and so forth and so on. And for the shooting, I'm using my Elite Era. It's my favorite bow, man. I'm loving this bow. For all of 2024, maybe beyond, I'm going to be using that. And then I'm also using for the accuracy testing this Killer Instinct SWAT X1 crossbow, which I'm also just absolutely loving. And for all the arrows, I'm using Bishop FOC Kings, Bishop Fat Eliminators, and Bishop Goat bolts because they just work so incredibly well. Okay, let's zoom on in here and go through some of the design features and specifications, and then put this bad boy to the test. Here's a good look at this broadhead. It's all steel, rear deploying, got a decent cut, relatively thick blades, and it's got no O-rings, no retention clip. The blades are just held in place by friction. So again, all steel ferrule, all steel blades. The blades are 0.035 inches thick, so relatively thick. And then it's got kind of this chisel tip that looks like a two-blade head, not very sharp, but it functions like a chisel tip. That adds an extra 0.27 inches to the cut. So you get a total cut of 2.27 inches. Now the way it works is these blades are held in place by this interesting friction design, and then on impact, as this impacts the hide right here, these deployment arms, the blades are released and they slide back into their full open cutting diameter of 2 inches. So really nice cut to them. Now they don't lock open, like if there's not pressure forcing them back, then they're not going to lock open. But they also are not swept. Okay, they can bend back this way. So in the closed position, I wanted to add it's 0.86 inches wide in the closed position. It's got quite a bit of exposed blade in the closed position. That's going to affect the flight a little bit compared to some other mechanicals. And then the total length outside the end of the arrow is just under 1.2 inches, so relatively short overall length to it. For resharpening, I would use the replaceable blade guide, the Stay Sharp Guide replaceable blade kit. That works really well with all Rage heads, the replaceable blade kit, and similar style heads. So really eager to put this to the test and see how it performs. The Hypodermic got the bullseye. It only took 117 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is a 10 on a 10-point scale, plus a bonus for being under the threshold of 200. It penetrated 7 inches. However, the blades closed as soon as they hit the gel. They were open on impact, but then they closed and remained closed throughout the entire gel. So that decreased the cutting diameter and made them penetrate a bit further. That's why they'll get a deduction. Here's the entrance hole, which is actually pretty good for this rubber foam mat. One of the blades fully opened, the other opened about 90%. But then, like I said, they closed as soon as they hit the gel and remained closed throughout the rest of the penetration. It took an additional 74 grams of force to cut through the wire, which is an 8.52 on a 10-point scale. It penetrated through 36 layers, which is not very good on the one hand, but I do want to point out that that tip is pretty short. And so unlike, say, a swacker, where the last 1 3/4 inches is tip only, this head has quite a bit of blade really close to the tip that is cutting through those layers. And it held up really well after the 3 shots through the MDF. The only damage is that the blades got bent back a bit. They don't have the same cutting diameter they started with. And here it is after the 2 shots through the steel plate. On the first shot, the lower blade got really bent up and the top blade got fairly bent. Then in the second shot, the lower blade broke off and the top blade got a little bit more bent. And you can see the edge chatter in the blades, as well as just the overall assembly was really loose after the second shot. Here it is after all the durability tests. Did great in the MDF. The blades bent a little bit in the MDF. They got like a smaller cutting diameter to them. And then in the steel plate, they got pretty bent up, especially this one, but this one too, I don't know if you can even make that out. It got pretty bent up on the first shot. Then the second shot, this one broke off, and this one got a little bit more bent. But hey, in the cinder block, man, it held together really well. I was impressed with that durability in the cinder block. So what'd you think? You know, this head has some real significant strengths to it, and I can see why a number of people really like it. It's certainly not a bad broadhead by any means. It's got some extreme strengths and then some extreme weaknesses. It flew really well. That's a great strength. Actually, the blades did really well too, very sharp, and they held their edge well. I like this retention system that they have. It feels very secure, even shooting through a crossbow, and yet I got full opening upon impact. So those were all great strengths. But when it came to penetration, man, it was pretty poor. Like, it would put it like in the D category if I were giving it a letter grade. And then with durability, was a little bit better than other models of Rages. It would be like in the C category. So you check out the score sheet and see how it performed in the areas that matter to you the most, and see if it might be a good fit for you. I think in most soft surface animals, maybe clipping a rib, not too big of an animals or a really heavy setup, I think it could work quite well. But it does have those weaknesses that I noted. And if you look into the description of the tests, the details of the tests that are in the video description, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in all the various areas. But stay tuned for a list, or stay tuned for the overall score as well as the corresponding Lusk grade, and also stay tuned for a list of all the discount codes that I have so far, just to save you a bunch of money. And I keep updating those in the video description as well, so keep checking through those. Hey, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you next time.